The following podcast is sponsored by Luminary Leaders, Sedan Associates, and Connected Women of Influence. Enjoy the episode.
My name is Shelly Harrison, and you're listening to Speaker Central. On this episode, we talk about being in the limelight with my special guest, Clarissa Burt. Welcome to this episode of Speaker Central, powered by Luminary Leaders. I'm your host, Shelly Harrison. Each week, I open the conversation with my guests to unravel their perspective, solutions, and get into their mindset of business. We break down their expertise to give our audience actionable steps and content to apply in their own businesses. Catch our episodes and subscribe on your favorite podcast channel and also on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and just every platform you can imagine. Today, I am so excited to welcome my guest and talk about a topic that I think a lot of business owners and CEOs of companies can resonate with, as well as people that are out there in the media. So our intriguing topic today is Amplify Your Brand in the Limelight with Clarissa Burt. My guest on this episode is Clarissa Burt, and I'd like to welcome Clarissa.
Hey there. You did that so well. That's not your first rodeo, is it?
No, it's not. I've done just a few. I haven't done as many. Well, thank you, Clarissa, but I haven't done as many as you, that's for sure. We're going to get into that too. And I'm excited to hear just about your career, about In the Limelight and all the great things that you're doing. So, yeah. And I would love to welcome you aboard. I am so excited. Drum roll, please. We have added Clarissa Burt to our phenomenal list of Luminary Leaders speakers. So welcome aboard, Luminary Leaders as well, Clarissa. We're
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Everything is so much more luminous around me since I joined you.
I love hearing that. I love it.
Wonderful. Well, you know how I feel about you. I just think you're the greatest. And it's so funny how two women can connect the way we have. We've never met in person. This Zoom call is the first time we've ever really seen one another, and we've been speaking for months. So,
exactly.
Technology and the power of really wanting to collaborate together.
Yes. And I appreciate you for mentioning that, because we've really progressed, and I appreciate you having our clients on your shows. In addition to that, we have, and we're going to get into this too, the magazine, a beautiful, beautiful article in your magazine, In the Limelight. And later we get a sneak peek of the cover. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, welcome, Clarissa. And I like to start the show. I would really like to have you tell us, who is Clarissa Burt?
Clarissa Burt is an entrepreneur who is very busy at the moment, because
you are.
I did this really great thing when I came back from Europe, and I was working there on television and producing television and being in media, as I have been for a very long time. I took some time off, and the time off was somewhere in the vicinity of about 10 years. And I just thought that, I didn't know anyone here in the United States when I came home 15 years ago, and it was starting over again. And it was such a daunting task, because if I'm coming from a media celebrity, if you will, on Italian television to not even knowing who your next door neighbor is, it was a start all over again kind of process. And I was just rounding 50. So that meant I just went ahead.
Fabulous at 50. Fabulous at 50.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm well past that now, but at the time it was all about, okay, I've got to go get a business card. Maybe I should think of a business name and get myself a new logo. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows what I've done. And I've done, in my lifetime, I've just done some of the really coolest things. I've been so blessed to be, to have done pretty much everything I ever wanted to do. And I set my mind to, but, I didn't share a lot of things at the risk of sounding braggy. I just kept everything to myself. And every once in a while, people would come up to me and say, "Oh my God, I Googled you. Why didn't you tell me?" And I said, well, because that was who I was, that was, the Italian Clarissa. And now Clarissa's back in her home, her homeland, and she's starting all over again. So I want you to know me for who I am now and what I have to offer now, not, not from years gone. And so that's who it is. I'm a new startup entrepreneur as of about a year with a multimedia platform. And this platform, as you well know, Shelley, when you're talking about content, it takes the time to build the content. You have to have a library of content on YouTube, on the podcast channels, and certainly with the new magazine as well, which is something I had never done before. So the magazine was an entirely new learning curve for me. But when I say multimedia, I'm now able to offer my clients a multimedia way of getting their word out.
Right. Or publicity, right? I know you do a lot about, around branding and advertising. And again, I think can we see a sneak peek of I know you have a picture of the
I
cover.
do. I don't have the actual hard copy yet. It's been ordered at the printer, and certainly they don't work with my timing. But this is.
Do they ever?
That came out. Now that came out last Monday, and I don't want to get the glare, so I'm gonna. Yeah. There you go.
Beautiful! It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, that's
beautiful
Iris
cover.
Apfel. Now Iris Apfel is also a celebrity in her own right. At 98 years old, she didn't become famous until she was about 80, but she's a
isn't that crazy?
80 years
old.
Global fashion. She's on I think Home Shopping Network with her products. Her show has been itinerant throughout the world at major museums. I mean, the woman's phenomenal, and she's still going. And
she's leaving a legacy, is what she's doing. Yeah.
And I liked it also, Shelley, I think I liked it also because it was a cover that, to me, especially in these times, it sort of embodied hope, and that you're never too old to live your dream. I know that that hit, for me really hard, rounding 50, starting over again.
Yeah.
Many days I thought, well, I'm just probably too old for all this. And then I went,
no, not at all. And, we actually have that in common, Clarissa. I spent my career in the banking industry, not the baking industry, banking, just to clarify. And really that's where I started my humble beginnings. And now, fast forward in my 50s, I started, this company, and I've had it now for about 7 years. So I just aged myself.
Yeah, that's okay. And, honestly, it's going to sound corny, but I really do think that life for me started at 60. The rest of it was great. It was kind of like a dress rehearsal, but I don't think that I've ever been more prepared as an entrepreneur, even as a woman, to do what I'm doing today. And I'm meeting some phenomenal people. When you're in the media industry, in the media business, you're just meeting some of the creme of the creme. And it's great.
Well, and I think too that it's about being I don't want to say vulnerable, but being open to the possibilities, right? Because things happen. I mean, really all it takes is just asking or connecting or, sharing and helping other people, which kind of, that brings back tenfold where, if you help someone, then, they'll think of you and they'll want to help you in return.
So true. It's so true.
Yeah.
And I love doing that. Not everybody does. Not everybody is, like to share things, but it's okay. We do, and we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like to, and we do. So, And so I just have to say that answer the question. I'm in Clarissa Burt is just in a really, really great place. I mean, I wake up now with a really lilt in my step because I'm so excited to affront the day and, and to make some new connections. And the next cover is just going to blow it out of the ballpark.
I can't wait to see it. When is the next issue due out?
Well, it's every 3 months we come out. So we came out now in June, and we'll be coming out September 1st again. And your ad is in there. Your beautiful ad.
Oh, thank you. And I have to give Diane Callahan a shout out for that.
Yeah, I did. When I spoke to her yesterday, I told her how great it was, and she was thrilled.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I appreciate that and the opportunity to be in your gorgeous magazine.
Thank you.
Time out for a second. Do you hear all the barking?
Yeah, a little bit. That's okay.
Oh,
I did now. I don't know if I heard it before.
Okay. Yes. And you know what? I shut the door. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know what? And people are so used to that now. It doesn't even phase.
I know. That's true.
So it's up to you, though, what you want to do.
Okay. I think we're good now. Okay. So I'm going to, 1, 2, 3. So Clarissa, I have a question that I ask each of my guests, and I would love for you to fill in the blank.
Mhm.
And be ready for this question because it's a popper. I'm blown away at how my multimedia platform has, and then fill in the blank.
Turned the corner with this last magazine. We finished up the
Mm,
first year, June right now. This month it's been a year that since I started the company and have started to create all the content, just so many hours of content. And so I feel as though the company now in the Limelight Media has really taken a turn this month, coming into our
mhm.
second year, just starting our second year. This cover,
Congratulations.
thanks. Yeah, this cover was
Yeah,
really
that's awesome.
phenomenal. The and even the connections now are starting to
Hmm.
become bigger, better, richer, and with there's just a great cause. I break the magazine down into look good, feel good, be good, and greater good. And
Hmm.
obviously, when you start talking to people that have products and services, solopreneurs and entrepreneurs that have products and services that do those things, they're usually
Yeah.
always in the right. They're in the right headspace. They're in the right mindset.
Hmm.
Yeah, I absolutely love what I do.
And you do it so well when it comes to, and I'm going to give you a shout out too, because when I kind of shared with you, about the podcast that I'm doing, and I asked you a few questions and you gave me some really good pointers. Number one, the eyebrows. I have very light eyebrows because I have blonde hair, so of
Okay.
course I have to do them a little bit darker. We
Mhm.
talked about the glare, we talked about the background, and I really appreciate that, and that's something that I know you could teach other people. And, coming on board with Luminary Leaders, that's what I'm excited about, where you can teach these people. And think of it, a lot of things are virtual. There's a
Yeah.
lot of digital, platforms, online
Mhm.
workshops. And I think this is a great space for you, Clarissa, right now,
It
because
is.
you have so much to share with the world, and I look back at your career, granted, I look back and I'm like, holy moly, the things that you've been on Survivor, you've been on the one of my favorite movies, The Never Ending Story, part 2, right? And it
Yeah,
was just,
here's the poster right there.
oh, yes, yes. I mean, you
Well,
had
up
that
there somewhere.
big,
She's up there. Zaida's up there somewhere.
yeah, Zaida. Yeah. And I love the characters. They're just so adorable,
Yeah.
and when I look
Yeah.
back, and now I want to go back and watch that movie,
Mm,
just because of the storyline.
yeah.
Yeah. And like,
That was a fun movie to do. It was a
tell
lot
us
of fun.
about it. Let's
We
tell
shot
us
that.
about
We
it.
shot that in the summer of 1989 in Munich, Germany, and I had the two dresses,
Oh.
the green sequins and the red sequins, and they were
Mhm.
very heavy dresses, extremely heavy, and it was really hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was July and August
Oh gosh.
in a very very humid Munich,
Mm.
Germany. And so my makeup artist loved me because it took me about 3 hours every morning, about 3 hours in the morning,
Oh,
Aida ready, and then
yeah.
loved me throughout the day because everybody else was just dripping sweat. It was so hot, and I don't sweat almost at all. So
Lucky you. Oh, lucky
she
you.
thought I was the best, and she would tell me every day, "Thank you." Because she put, first of all, German, so they're very, perfectionist at what they do, and she was
Yeah.
great. Dagmar, Dagmar, Dietmar was her name. I think it was Dietmar, and so
Yeah.
she was lovely to work with. But she just loved the fact that she could put on my makeup, and then it didn't move. So and they were very, they were very big sound stages, and I had the time of
Yeah.
my life. I thought it was just, I had died and gone to heaven, but it was a thrilling moment.
Wow.
The really cool thing is I was able to take my mother, my sister, and my grandmother over to the premiere in London.
Oh,
Or sorry,
that's,
I went to the premiere in London. They went to the premiere in Germany. And so
oh,
I was
wow.
able to fly them all over there, and we just had a blast with it all. So yeah,
What a
it
great
was,
experience, and I know that you've been in multiple movies, and also you were on Italian TV with Survivor
yeah,
and you won. So
yes.
share that with us. Tell us about that.
Well, it was Italian Survivor. It was Celebrity Survivor. So they called a lot of the celebs in, and I didn't want to go. I kept saying, "I'm not doing this. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do this." And then I was convinced. We were in Nicaragua. I was about the whole thing. I think I was on the island for almost 3 months. Yeah, about 3 months it was. And it was tough. I mean, it was really a hard thing to do. The best thing is that I lost weight. I just lost a lot of weight right away because you don't eat.
Yeah.
And then, you find out a lot about yourself and who you are. And, because the situation is very difficult. I was completely consumed every day by no-see-ums. So that was I still have scars on me from, scratching. And that was difficult. There was very little to eat.
What did you, I've watched Survivor, here in the States. And I mean, some of the stuff they had them eating was disgusting. I mean, what was the grossest?
Well, there's difference between fear, I think that's more like fear factor. I don't know about Survivor in the States, but we had a handful of rice every day, a handful for lunch and a handful for dinner. And breakfast was usually a very small slither of coconut. And that was if we could find a coconut that was good and that the guys could get it open, because it's almost impossible to open a coconut unless you have brute force and the tools to do it, because we didn't have, we had one tool and it was a hatchet. So, it was an interesting go. I must say it was really a very interesting go, but but I was 50, I turned 53 on the island. So I wasn't as agile as the kids were, or, whatever, but they just thought, immediately I became Aunt Clarissa, and I was the one that they all ran to when they were, when they needed some comfort or some, sage word or some wisdom. Me, they ran to. Can you imagine? So anyway, but I was one of the elders on the island, so it was only natural that, and I felt great. It was great for me. I truly enjoyed it. I enjoyed that part. But, 3 months on an island is a long time. So
it is a long time. No makeup, no hair.
No shampoo, no body wash,
really?
Very little water. Everything you're allowed.
That's roughing it. That is definitely roughing it.
Almost everything that you bring is in tropical climate, so you never put something dry on ever. You are constantly in damp. Yeah, and that, believe me, is not fun either. You don't drink anything hot or warm for 3 months. I tell you, the first glass of wine, and I don't drink any wine anymore because of the the sugar and all that stuff. But at the time, the first glass of wine was like, it was heaven. And the first hot cup of tea that I drank, I thought I just had died and gone to heaven. So yeah, it was. But it was something that, that I would really invite a lot of people to do in a different way. If you can go on to anywhere, just, turn off all the devices and, and do yourself a mental and physical cleanse,
Yeah, boy. And not quite 3 months, right? Not quite 3 months.
Not quite 3 months. It could be 3 hours, it could be 3 days or something, but it's something, it really it's good for the soul.
And you won. So what was it that you did that had you win the show?
Well, I laid back way in the back, and I let all the kids knock themselves out, and all the girlies in their little teeny weeny bikinis, and all the where the camera goes. You know what I mean? And so the younger ones were, they had a lot of energy and they were dying to be in front of the camera, and I just was there kind of just to be there. I wasn't really even wanting to be there, but I went again because I was convinced. And so I played it really cool. A lot of people didn't even think I was on the show for the first 5-6 episodes. You never really saw me. And of course, every episode that you're on, you're making more money. So it's best to not, because when you're out there, you're fighting and you're showing off, and and people see right through you. They from home. So that's where you start getting voted off. And I just, I laid back and I didn't fight with anyone, and I didn't become controversial in any. I was really me, because I don't fight and I'm not controversial, and I'm not really showy, and I'm not like that. So I just kind of hung back, and it seemed to work. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on winning, and how exciting to say that you were on Survivor, and I mean, obviously that was an accomplishment, and at 53, granted 53 is young. I mean, really. Oh, yeah. 53.
Well, I mean, to do the games and the different things they had us doing, was not, I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't, the strongest or any of that. But I think I think I was the strongest mentally. At that point at 53 years old,
life doesn't matter. Yeah,
Well,
mind over matter, right?
I had put me through a couple of ringers by then. So, I mean, I was pretty well versed in life, and
Yeah.
so I was good to go. I was fine.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that would be exciting. Yeah. Do you have a picture to show us? Yeah,
No,
I know you have a.
no. There was something I was going to show you, but I don't see it now. The only time I cried was that we were on the island at Easter, and all of these
Hmm.
coconuts came in and they were painted. And then you opened them up, and inside there was a
Oh.
note from home. And so there
Oh,
was
how
this note. Yeah, it was
cool.
really cool.
So
And
who did you get a note
my
from?
mother, my sister, and her children.
Oh,
And yeah,
how cool.
go Aunt Chrissy, you're doing really good, Aunt Chrissy. We're so proud of you, Aunt Chrissy. And so I went, oh, it was
Oh.
a cute moment. It was really
What
nice.
a neat idea though, to use coconuts as, as Easter eggs, right?
Coconuts kept showing up, and everybody's like, "What are they?" And then everybody, and they didn't do them all at once. They did them, one by one, by one.
Individually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just look. It was an experience. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. Well, and it's something that you are leaving a legacy. And I think that, a lot of people that know you and love you, they're just gonna relish that, and
Yeah,
if for a lifetime, what you're
right.
accomplishing.
Yeah, yeah. It's been
Yeah.
made
Good.
life great.
Yes, it is. It really is. And when we look back and we reflect, everything is kind of a lesson. We learn something out of every experience. Wouldn't you say that we
Absolutely.
do?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and not to become, but even the things that we've been going through the beginning of 2020, which have not been few,
Yeah.
they've been rather trying for on a global level, and people
Yes.
are handling it the best way that they know how. But notwithstanding, I think that there's nobody that hasn't learned something about themselves, about their resiliency, and about
Yeah.
the way that you can always count on yourself, your family, and your friends, to pull you
Yes.
through pretty much anything. And so that's it sounds banal to say, but it's kind of true. So I mean,
Yeah.
I've learned
It's
about myself. I've learned that I can take only so much, and then I understand, and I get a lesson, and then I have to persevere, and I've got to move on, and
Mhm.
I want to build my business, and I want to build it so that I'm able to give a voice to other people. When you're in media the way
Yes.
I am, I'm able to give a voice, as many of us are in media, to so many other people that
Yeah.
otherwise wouldn't have it.
Exactly. And we talked a little bit about that too. And I would love for you to share with everyone, kind of your background and the things that you've learned over your entire career, how you can really leverage that to help people. And we talked about a couple of topics that you cover. Can you kind of share those and just talk a little bit about how they do help people, or how they will, to help their celebrity?
Yeah, I mean, one of the most important, celebrity is a fabulous name, and it can either be, you can be famous or infamous, right? So
Yeah.
celebrity can either take it one way or the other. But I think celebrity is really being just an expert in your field, and being recognized as that expert.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work, and it's when you reach a certain pinnacle,
Mm.
as I said before, most people will recognize you for the hard work that you've done and for the good that you
Yeah.
do. And so I like to go down the famous path and not the infamous path, because we could sit here and talk about Bonnie and Clyde all day, but
Oh yeah, love Bonnie and Clyde. That was one of my favorite movies.
yeah, me too. And
Yeah.
so, the idea of, also, I think of being recognized for the hard work that you do is something that is appreciated, and it gives you the impetus, if you will, to
Yeah.
continue to want to. It's the drive and the motivation that you receive from some of the accolades. Let's be honest. I mean, we love
Yeah.
to be recognized. We love the accolades. We love it when somebody compliments us, and so that's one of the major issues that I find, is that a lot of people don't give themselves permission to step into that place or that space.
Yeah.
I myself had that issue. And
Mm.
I found that success for a while there was something that I was almost ashamed of. It was something I didn't want to share, because it would sound like bragging. And I think that if it's done in a right way, in a proper way, if it's done with humility, and it's said
Yes.
in a way that is matter of fact and not in a braggadocious way, then I think that, that there's absolutely nothing wrong at all with, living
Yeah.
in your power, owning your place and owning your space. So that's one of the first things we talk about. There are many others that we talk about. I think I had told you that I'm starting after this summer, because I probably won't be able to get it in the books until probably November-ish, but it's Ultimate Media
Yeah.
Mastery. And that is where I will bring in many different experts that will help to teach and guide and tutor others, solopreneurs and entrepreneurs that want to take up their game.
Yeah.
Branding and
Yes.
broadcasting is how I call it. So,
Mhm.
the themselves as entrepreneurs, the branding of their businesses, which a lot of the times is one of the same. Sometimes it's separate, and sometimes it's the same. And then
Yeah.
moving them into broadcast, quality, whether that be online, because we have social media and we have traditional media, and too many people are
Mhm.
forgetting about traditional media. And there are so many great outlets that you could be on, and you could be on for a song, because they're hurting and they need money. So I
Mhm.
feel as though, when I built my media icon image, there's a picture of me and many different icons, the global media icons that I had the great pleasure of working with or collaborating with. That,
Yeah.
there's a whole different, let me use the word sexiness, if you will, that comes with
Yeah.
being able to say I was on ABC, CBN, NBC, CNN, BBC. I've been on many of these different channels, and
Yeah.
it's different than saying I was on YouTube. And nothing to take away from YouTube, nothing to take away from
Mhm.
social media. Each one of them carries their weight in gold. You
Oh,
don't
they
have to,
do.
do
It's
not get me wrong,
right.
but there's a
And
lot.
the credibility too, I think it has a lot to do with, because you did the work,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and you really, like in this case with, some of the networks that you've been on and the people that you've collaborated with, it really forms what you're doing
Right.
now, and
Right.
allows you to really be in that space of teaching others.
Absolutely. So yeah, and that's, again, yeah, you made a really great point too, which is, the next point is the credibility factor is what lends itself to you being known or referred to as a celebrity. There are a
Yeah.
lot of celebrity speakers. There are speakers that are experts, and then there are celebrity speakers. Well, what's the difference, right? A lot of
Yeah.
that, the media cred and
Hmm.
credibility that they have garnered along the way, and most people don't know
Yes.
how to move into that space. So that's what I'm
And
going to teach.
yeah, no, and the one thing that I think of is substance. Like, for example, when I look at you and I look at your career and the things that you've done, you have substance. And there, when you mentioned the celebrity speakers or people that are out there, some of them really don't have that substance or that background. They emerged on social media, or they emerged
Right,
on, maybe
right,
some other platform, but not necessarily television, right? So you
right.
could
It's never
teach
too
them that
late.
substance.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
never too late. I mean, it's kind of only natural that, depending on when you were born, that's kind of where you started. You were going to start in social media, and then traditional media may find you, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I think that they both play really well in the sandbox. I do an Ultimate Media Mastery live, and I'll be doing it, I think, tomorrow night, where
Oh,
I
I
bring
want to
in
watch that.
yeah, yeah, I bring
Yeah.
in different experts. I bring in Tim Burt, who is not a relation, but he was on
Oh.
CBS Radio for many, 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 many years, and
Oh,
he wrote over 30,000 ads. And then
my
I bring in Bruce
gosh.
Servin. Bruce Servin is a PR agent, and he works with some amazing celebrities. So I bring them on, and the three of us bring on a guest, and we talk about what the differences between social media and traditional media,
Yeah.
and what it's like to work with experts like us in order to pull your business from where you are to really where you'd like to be.
Yeah, and for you to create that kind of a platform too, Clarissa, especially with the experts that you're bringing in, and the wonderful thing is that you already have, kind of a dynamic or business relationship, and I'm sure a friendship too, where you know what their strengths are, and all of you, you each bring in your own expertise, and I think providing that kind of a platform is powerful, especially when you're doing it. I would imagine that it's alive, And it's,
Yeah.
you're giving of this information. So you're really giving back, but in the
Right.
same token, you run your own business. You have, several different things that you're working on with, in the Limelight, and as well as, you have a book. I know you're an author too. And you have your book behind you there. So you want to share with us about your book?
Yeah, that is, and I did that book with Rita Romano, who's an Italian chef who lives here in Phoenix, actually. And the book was done in English and in Italian. And as because I lived in Italy for 30 years, and I was prone to gluten intolerance and sensitivity, and I didn't know it.
Oh gosh!
So I spent a lot of time in hospitals and in ambulances and carrying around an EpiPen until we figured out what the intolerance was, and it turned out to be gluten. So when you think about Italy, you think pizza.
It's all gluten. Yeah,
it's all gluten. Well, no wonder I was. So what we did was we banded together and we pulled together this fabulous coffee table book, and it talks about eating Italian. It's called the Italian Gluten-Free Gastronomy Cookbook, and we talk about eating healthfully and happily, Italian food without the gluten.
Yeah, and I'm Italian, so I would be interested to find out what those other options are. I grew up, where my grandmother, we had, the big giant dining room table, and everybody would sit around the table,
on a Sunday.
On a Sunday with these big bowls of pasta and,
3 to 5 hours.
And yes. Yeah. So I would be, how do we get your book?
You can find it on Amazon. You go to clarissaburt.com, and in the shop, you can find it, anywhere, or you can find it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. The digital version you will find on Amazon, and then the hardcover version you'll find at clarissaburt.com.
Okay. And tell us what your favorite recipe in that book is.
I think we've got the one that I had suggested, which is it's a dessert. It's called honey butter ambrosia, and I made sure that. It's so good. I made sure that, because I'm the sugaraholic, and so I made sure that we got that in there. And it's really, it's heavy cream and sugar and honey and butter, and you mix it up and you put it on everything. And my favorite thing of all time are pizzelles and Rita.
Oh yeah,
the pizzelles.
Delicious. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so pretty.
I know.
My grandmother used to make those.
Yeah, I make them.
Yeah.
I make them, and Rita makes them all the time and makes sure that I have them. And I keep telling her, please stop making the pizzelles, because I will eat them all in one sitting.
And they're not actually that fattening. They're not.
Well, there's butter and there's
yeah. I was at
butter and sugar. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. They're thin though, right?
Yes,
they're very thin,
but they're good. It's kind of like, it's really like potato chips, right? It's like I keep eating one right after the other. But anyway,
they can be addicting.
We had a great time pulling that book together.
Oh, that's a great collaboration. And because people do love Italian food, they love the pizza, lasagna, and this is an alternative way to be eating. So.
And she took every picture in here. Every recipe has a picture, and she took every picture.
Wow.
Great. Yeah, she's really good. She's really creative.
Yeah. And I saw it in the magazine too. I saw your photo with her in your magazine.
Yeah. She collaborates as well. So every edition, she writes about food, which is really great. We used to have the recipes in there. We've pulled the recipes now, but she writes about the history of food, which is fascinating. It's really fascinating.
Wow. Very fascinating. And I can't wait to get my copy. So I'm going to look for the digital version.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So Clarissa, we're almost out of time. And I mean, we could talk for forever. We have so much to forever. I know, right?
Because we started 45 minutes before you pushed the record button.
That's right. But really, I just want to say that, I really appreciate everything that you've shared today with our audience. I believe that, they're going to get a lot of information from this, and I want them to follow you, because I know that you have your podcast and you have a lot of very intriguing guests on your shows. So, maybe you could share with us, just final thoughts.
If anybody wants to follow along, if anybody wants to follow along, please do. You can find my podcasts are on my website. So you can go there. It's in the Inspired News Radio. We're on Google play, we are on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. So you can find the podcast there. And then the magazine, come on over to clarissaburt.com and sign up to make sure that when it comes out, you're one of the first ones to know. And then the YouTube, you got YouTube in the Limelight with Clarissa Burt. I'm over there as well. So it depends on how you like to ingest your content. Is it video? Is it a podcast? Or is it reading? So that's how we do there.
You've got all the options.
I don't know. Final thought, maybe, you're only as beautiful as your last good deed. I like that one, because I come from an industry and I worked in an industry where there are a lot of very, very beautiful people.
Yeah.
Fashion and modeling industry. And sometimes that beauty wasn't so pretty when they were being really crappy. And being really nice human beings. So I made up that saying, you're only as beautiful as your last good deed. So go out and do something good for somebody.
Yes.
Do something good for somebody today. That's how I like to end it.
Yes. And I love that we're ending on that thought, because I think that's, paying it forward, kindness, especially with what's happening in our world today. And, I just appreciate you being on the show, Clarissa. We will make sure that all the links and everything are on the final show, or on the final episode notes. And again, thank you for being on the show, Clarissa.
I'm thrilled.
Yes.
Thrilled for our collaboration, and I thank you.
Yeah, same here. And I'm so excited for just opportunities that are going to be coming up in the future for both of us, for the people that we serve, and, just kind of getting out there and spreading love and kindness in the world, right?
Let's go do it.
Yes.
Well, let's go do that. We have to stop talking first. We have to get off of Zoom so that we can go do it.
Yes, right. So thank you to our followers and listeners for this episode of Speaker Central. You can catch our episodes on your favorite podcast channel and on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and many other platforms. And again, thank you for being here. And until next time, we'll see you later.